Hello everyone and welcome back to another F124 driver career mode video with Enzo Fittipaldi. We are here with round 11 at the Red Bull Ring. Before we get on into the R&D though and the race weekend, we do have another secret meeting with Mercedes, so I'm excited to see what this is. Honestly, I haven't gone this far into the driver career mode yet to see what the second secret meeting is, so... Oh, okay. I think they're showing us their development. Average time 14 days. Okay, yeah, we're definitely going to continue talks with Mercedes though.
So, good news and bad news. The good news is the meeting went well. The bad news, your current employers got wind of it and they aren't thrilled. Get ready to grovel. This might set back your recognition with them a bit.
Oh, well, apparently Alpine has found out about our talks with Mercedes. And yeah, I'm sure they are not thrilled, but I mean, what can they expect, especially after the Ferrari strategy they pulled last week? I mean, we obviously need to start looking elsewhere, as let's head on into our goals now. But yeah, I mean, after the really poor race weekend last weekend, and just the fact that the car just really isn't where it needs to be, and with the results we're getting, we really deserve a car that we can contend to win with. We'll complete 5 laps in practice. Yeah, we can perfect the race strategy practice program. Let's hop into the R&D now. We have 524 resource points. Is there going to be any upgrade we can throw on here? As it's not looking like it. Yeah, looks like we're going to have to wait. Grab a few more resource points in practice. Let's go ahead and sim on to the Austrian Grand Prix and head on in.
I'm pleased to say that our new parts have come through without any issue, so they'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
Head on into practice. Here we are for our tire management practice program in the first lap of the race weekend. This track is honestly super fun to drive. As I'm excited to get this weekend underway and bounce back from the poor finish we had last weekend. Really got the strategy wrong. And with the continued talks we're having with Mercedes, we really have a good shot at being in a race-winning car next year, so I'm not too worried about what happens this year. Obviously, we gotta keep doing well, otherwise they won't be interested, but I more just want to have as much fun as I possibly can this year, and hopefully try to at least get a podium before the end of the year. Can we get our first purple score here in 1 lap? It looks like we're going to be able to, as the race
test
weekend
complete, and that was a really good job indeed. We got a lot of valuable information out of that. Well done.
is starting out strong. Gotta, like Mark said, we need to save as much battery as we possibly can here. As this one isn't as bad as the fuel saving practice program. That one is absolutely terrible. I forget that it always puts you on none. And you're not on medium to start the... I was wondering why I was just bleeding time down the straightaways. We're going to have to be extra quick in the rest of the lap to hopefully come back and maybe have a shot. I think we're going to have to do a second lap. We're just barely down on the delta here. In the purple range. Make sure we don't invalidate through these last couple corners. We get real close on the exit there. Open up the DRS.
Program complete and a job well done. We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back to the garage and I can take you through the numbers.
And that's our second purple score. Well, here we are for our race strategy practice program. Our only test for our pace this weekend, as we didn't get a qualifying practice program. So we'll have to get all of our data on our pace for the weekend from this. We will have a sprint race, though, to gather data as well. As we are 5/10 down on the delta here. We're gonna have to have a big final sector if we want to get a green lap here. Just barely didn't get the delta. Almost snuck it in. If I would have used DRS, I could have got it. But we're not gonna. We don't use ERS or DRS here in our practice programs. It's honestly such a fun track to drive, though. Especially in an F1 car. Just barely managed to get the Delta there in the second lap. Here we are, 10th and a half up. And able to get our last purple score of the weekend and maximum resource points for the team. Now let's head on into sprint qualifying.
High up in the mountains here at Spielberg, it's time for qualifying on what will be the fastest laps of the season. Stand by for qualifying at the Austrian Grand Prix.
And here we are for sprint qualifying. I am going to be using overtake mode in qualifying now. I did hear that the AI is actually using overtake mode now, so that is actually good. We can use our battery to its full capability. As I did also put enough fuel in where we can do a cool down lap and a second push lap. As we need to be right on the limit here. Hopefully make it into Q2. So we're absolutely flinging it through those double left-handers. This track is so fun, especially on a push lap like this. Such a high-speed circuit. So we almost invalidate the lap there. But it's a 105.855 across the line. We're only 2/10 off Stroll. Ahead of Hulkenberg and Ricciardo. Well, there you have it. A 105.855 was enough for us to make it on through to Q2. Our teammate just was barely able to sneak his way through as well, as both the Williams, both the Saubers, and the Haas of Kevin Magnussen all fall victim to a Q1 exit. Here we are for our first run of Q2 here. Sprint qualifying too, I should say. We send it real deep into the first corner and we invalidate. As we need to shut it down and go for a second lap here. Luckily, I did fuel us enough for a second lap if need be. Alright, here we are. We need to correct our mistake from our first lap. Make sure we get it stopped enough to where we don't invalidate. Open up the DRS, use some battery here. We need to get a good lap here on the mediums, and we're only going to get one shot. That was a pretty good corner right there. Have to be committed through this high-speed section here. This is where we're going to make up most of our time. That was pretty hooked up right there. As we have no delta, no reference. We just gotta leave it all on the line here. Make sure we don't invalidate. Open up the DRS, use the rest of our battery, and it's a 105.451. Only 0.04 off Norris. That may be enough to sneak our way into Q3. Oh man, we just barely don't make it into Q3 as Pierre Gasly beats us by 0.03 of a second, and so does Oscar Piastri. We almost knocked the McLaren out in Q2, as our lap was pretty good, but I definitely feel like there was a 10th or two to be had. I left it on the table, and unfortunately, in the sprint qualifying format, you only have one set of tires, so I wasn't able to go out for that second run on new mediums. Luckily, though, our teammate did make it through to Q3, so hopefully he can get himself a good starting position. Now we need to head on into the sprint race and hopefully make up a few positions and grab some points for Alpine.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of around 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill of turn 3. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Sainz, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Gasly, Fittipaldi, Stroll, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Albon, Magnussen, Joe, Bottas, and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish, but let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Big pressure at the start of the race, Crofty, for all of them up and down the grid, no matter where you are. But the drivers these days, they practice, practice and practice. They have rigs with them at the circuit where they can sit down with the actual steering wheel from the real car, and they've got lights that they react to. The clutch paddle is tailored around the driver's hands, around their fingers, so they can have optimum position before they start. So there's so much thought and effort that goes into getting these cars off the line.
On the grid for the sprint race here in Austria, and it's lights out and away we go. As we need to capitalize on the extra grip we have on these soft compound tires, gain as many spots as we can. As Fernando Alonso tries to close the door there. We make contact with the two-time world champion, as we have a 7-time world champion going up our inside here, trying to make a move on us. We're gonna brake late. I wanted to try to maybe sneak around the outside of Alonso, but he went defensive there. As there were yellow flags out, but I'm not exactly sure for what. I'm hoping the cars ahead start to fight a little bit, and that'll open the door for us. We're going to open the DRS here, use our battery. Still at a decent percentage here. We're going to look to the inside of Fernando Alonso. Brake as late as we can. We send it up the inside of Russell too. We make contact with the young British driver. We're able to make the move stick on Alonso, but Russell powers through on the outside and holds us off. Here's another look at us grabbing the slipstream on the two-time world champion Fernando Alonso, diving to his inside, and we dive just a little too deep, end up on the inside of Russell there. We make slight contact, but he's able to just put the power down way cleaner. In a points-paying position here now. We have to try to stay with Russell ahead and maybe pass him before these tires start to go. As Alonso's going to look to our inside, we're going to just go to the apex of the corner because that is not a passing corner. We are clearly ahead, no need to give him some space. As even with the DRS open, we're not quite able to close up to the back of Russell. Obviously he has DRS as well. Now it's all about saving our battery back up and maybe trying to make a move on Russell before these tires start to give way. Halfway through the sprint race here. We're in a decent spot. Obviously our tires are gonna start fading soon though. So hopefully we're able to hold the guys behind us off. We're really struggling to keep up with Russell, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make a move on him before the sprint race is over. We've officially lost the DRS of George Russell up ahead, which is really going to make it difficult here. Obviously now we are a sitting duck to Fernando Alonso down the straightaway, as he is going to blow right by us with the DRS. Hamilton's going to look to our inside. Oh, we're going to brake late, go defensive. Open the DRS. Alonso will not have DRS to defend now, as we're able to hold off Hamilton here. Now it's all about staying in Alonso's DRS and maybe trying to make a move on him for that last points paying position once we get our battery in a decent window. Here's a look at Fernando Alonso utilizing that slipstream and DRS absolutely perfectly and just blowing right by us as the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton sends it up our inside. But on those softer compound, even this far into the stint, we're able to just win the drag race down the straightaway and hold him off. We've almost dropped Hamilton for our DRS as he's battling with our teammate of Pierre Gasly. But unfortunately, Alonso has dropped us from DRSs. The Spaniard is absolutely flying, and on these wearing out softs, we're not quite able to hold up that pace. As I don't think a point is going to be on the table for us here. As it's looking like P9.
Okay, be careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip anytime now.
Maybe the best we can manage here. One more lap to go. Hamilton is closed in our DRS here. We gotta make sure we can hold the 7-time world champion off here. As the shortest lap on the calendar, he doesn't have too much time to make a move. We just gotta stay defensive for the last half of this lap. As he's closed right up to us, he will have the DRS here. As Stroll has made his way by our teammate as well, as Pierre Gasly is struggling here late on in the sprint. Not a lot of passing opportunities left in this last sector of the track. Very good for us, but unfortunate for the 7-time world champion, as it's looking like we're going to be able to bring it home in P9 here today. Not a point, but up 2 positions on the day ahead of our teammate, as Lewis Hamilton's going to send it up the inside here. We got to leave him space. Side by side with the 7-time world champion. He runs into the side of us, and that's going to cost us another position maybe. No, we're able to hold Stroll off, and that's P10 in the sprint.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Here's another look at that last lap battle with the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, as he's going to go up our inside here in these last few fast corners. He has one more chance to make the move, and he's able to utilize those better medium tires at this point in the stint and that higher powered Mercedes, as we're just able to hold off the hard charging Fernando Alonso. As Charles Leclerc brings home driver of the day here.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time.
Charles Leclerc able to grab the sprint victory here over the 2 people who started on the front row of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez makes his way all the way up to 4th position with only 8 laps to do it. Absolutely amazing race from the Mexican driver, as Lewis Hamilton just misses out on that last points paying position. Hopefully we can carry this momentum into qualifying for the main race and then into the race as well, which should have some changing weather conditions, so that is going to be interesting. Now let's head on into qualifying and hopefully get ourselves a decent grid position.
High up in the mountains here at Spielberg, it's time for qualifying on what will be the fastest laps of the season. Stand by for qualifying at the Austrian Grand Prix.
First lap of Q1 here. We do have a wet setup on, so we are compromising a little bit of time in this dry weather, as we are expecting rain later in qualifying and in the Grand Prix, as Russell goes fastest with a 105.452, which we were right around that time at the end of sprint qualifying, so we should be able to see ourselves through to Q2 here as long as we can put together a nice and clean lap. Try to hit the apex, but we just go a little bit wide there. Not what we wanted to see, but the lap has been decent so far. Will at least be a good delta for us if it isn't quick enough to see us through, as it may be. That was okay. Definitely some time left on the table though.
And
we go a little wide there. Had to make sure we didn't invalidate. Cost us some time, but it's a 105.471. Faster than Lance Stroll, but right behind George Russell. Well, there you go. That was enough to see us through to Q2 as Pierre Gasly just beat our lap time by 1/100th of a second. As Max Verstappen is the first car to break the 104s for this weekend. And he is 3/10 clear of Lando Norris. So a statement by the Red Bull driver there at their home circuit. Well, the weather has turned quickly here, as it is now Inter's conditions, and we are out here in the pouring down rain looking to put together a good lap. The last time it was wet conditions like this was Canada, and yeah, we were threatening for a podium, so hopefully it will be more of the same here this weekend. As, oh, we go a little wide there, just getting used to the grip levels here. Obviously, first laps on the track, that has been wet this weekend. So we just got to get this lap hooked up neat and tidy and see what kind of pace we are running. What's it going to be across the line? A 14.7. Definitely need to pick up some time here. Because I'm going to do a recharge lap, charge our battery, and go for one more. Better traction out of that corner there. Just even with the Delta though. As I know in the hard braking zones we have a lot of time to be found here. Gotta make sure to be even on the throttle. Use our battery here. Already 3/10 up. A lot cleaner through the double left-handers there. Oh, the exit of it was real scrappy though. As we just couldn't get the throttle down. Five and a half tenths up on the Delta. Where's it gonna put us? P10. As we're gonna do one more charge lap here and then go for one more attempt. Well, no one else went out to set a Delta as the rain actually did pick up and Mark was incorrect. So we end P10 in Q2 and we see ourselves through to Q3. Here we are, first lap of Q3 on the full wet tire. This is where we were very, very quick in Canada. So I'm hoping we can carry that into here and have good speed here as well. As not too need of a first corner, but it wasn't too bad either. Obviously, this first lap will just be a Delta and a nice little banker for us. So we go a little wide into turn one, locked up the front tire. Oh, and we invalidate. Coming to the line, what's it going to be? A 14.5. Pretty quick for wet conditions. We're 6/10 up on Hamilton there. Absolutely rapid in the full wet conditions. Obviously the lap didn't count, so we're gonna need to do a charge lap here and go for one more push lap. Well, the rain is lightening up here and Inters are the quicker tires, so we're gonna have to go out and do another run and improve here if we want any chance at actually getting our first pole position here. So we're already improving on the lap time.
30 seconds left in the session.
Obviously, everyone else is going to be improving rapidly as well as the track is gaining grip. Not the greatest corner for us there as we are 6/10 up on the Delta here though, dropping down the order as everyone goes across the lines and puts in their last lap time. We're now all the way down to P10. We gotta make sure to keep it clean and tidy here the rest of the lap. What's it gonna be? We were purple in sector 1, 1.5 seconds up on the Delta here. Gotta make sure we don't invalidate. As we're almost 2 seconds up on the Delta. Will it be our first pole? It's P2! Oh, on the front row, but we just miss our first pole. I wonder by how much. As, oh, Every mistake now on the lap, I just keep playing back in my head as we miss it by less than half a tenth. As Carlos Sainz puts that Ferrari on pole position and is showing that in the great equalizer, which is the rain here, he is the quickest on the grid by 0.3 over Max Verstappen too, his championship rival, which is absolutely nuts. Yeah, now we need to carry the momentum and hopefully bring home our first podium here in the rain. We missed it in Canada, but hopefully we can right that wrong here. Now let's hop on into the Grand Prix.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve. It was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 to the right and 3 to the left, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Enzo Fittipaldi completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Tsunoda, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Joe, Bottas, Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And striding into our commentary box to join us today, the man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Davidson. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Well, here we are on the grid in Spielberg. Front row start for the first time in our career as, Max Verstappen is not on the pole position, all the way back in third. And his championship rival of Carlos Sainz gets the pole position in Red Bull's home track. So that is a little bit interesting as they are recommending a one-stop, wet to wet. Obviously, we'll see how the rain plays out. We're going to start on wets. Maybe it dries up a little bit and we pit wet to inters. Obviously, we're just going to have to play it by ear. You never know in these changing conditions. As now, let's hop on into the formation lap and then the race.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway. These are wet conditions here today. Each driver will no doubt be mindful of the wet surface as they prepare to race around the track.
Every driver electing to start in the wets as the rain is really pouring down here to start the race.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Well, me and Carlos putting the cars on the front row here in an Alpine and then in a Ferrari. Obviously, Ferrari still a top team, but not one of the top 3 cars currently, as the Mercedes, the McLaren, and the Red Bull are all better. So really showing that the rain is the great equalizer. Hopefully, it will carry into a good Grand Prix, though, as I am hoping it stays wet. I don't want it to dry up. Our pace in the wet is just so much better. As here we are under those 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. As we need to get a good run on Carlos here. He's going to go defensive. Go and onto the inside. We're going to look around his outside here. Not quite able to make the move stick. As Carlos has the lead out of turn 1. And it's lights out, and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix in the pouring down rain as Carlos Sainz is able to find the traction here, goes defensive into turn 1, and we're not quite able to look to his outside as the Spaniard leads out of turn 1 here. Can we make a move down the long straight using our battery, grabbing the slipstream? We're going to brake late, but Carlos brakes just as late, and we're not able to dive to his inside as there's yellow flags out here early on in the day. Not sure if it's from a retirement, I doubt so. Hopefully not this early in the race. No safety car or anything as we are back to green flag racing. So I'm guessing it was just a small incident. As we gotta look to stay with the Spaniard here. Get close enough and eventually we'll make a move on him. He seems quick early in the day, though. Max Verstappen still right behind, not able to open up a gap at all on the Dutchman. As it's me, Carlos, and Verstappen, the top 3. Did not think I would be speaking.
Watch out for understeer in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as quickly as you can. Push, push.
Did not think I would be speaking that sentence at any point during this season. Let alone at Max Verstappen's home track, but here we are. Oh, as we get a pretty big snap there. Gotta be careful with the throttle application here. As our car in the wet weather is just so good. We're really able to make the difference here. Because I just can't help but wonder what it would be like to be in a top car here. I'm so excited to hopefully have a shot at that Mercedes seat. As obviously we keep...
Tyre condition still looking good.
Obviously we are in continued talks with Mercedes. Still not sure who we would be replacing next year, whether it would be Lewis or George. Yeah, Lewis could be moving to Ferrari. Nothing's been announced. But yeah, or George could be moving elsewhere as well. As Toto just quite hasn't made the decision yet, obviously. We could end up not even going to Mercedes, and the talks could all be for nothing.
Track yet.
Well, Mark thinks the rain is going to ease up here. Not sure if it's going to go full dry weather. That's definitely what it definitely was not predicted at the start of the race. But maybe interweather is coming up. This is the closest I've been to Carlos since lap 1. This is, I know we're quick in these final 2 corners too. We're really catching on Carlos here. Able to go right to the back of him. Oh, slight snap there. Grab his slipstream. Maybe we can have a look down into turn 2. Gotta be right on his gearbox though. Get the throttle down. I'm not sure if we're gonna be close enough here. We're gonna use the battery. Brake late. He goes defensive. As we just aren't close enough to make the move yet. And now we're going to have to recharge our battery. So we're purple in sector 1 there. But still not able to make the move. We are so quick in that final sector. Goes right up to the gearbox of the Ferrari here. Maybe we can get a better exit this time. Out of this first corner. We're going to need a good exit if we want any chance down into turn 2. Oh, we're a lot closer this time. We're going to drain our battery. Carlos is going to go defensive again. We're going to go to the outside this time. Try to go around the Spaniard. As we get a lot better exit. We went a little wide there, but we're still able to make it work. And we just passed a Ferrari on merit for the lead here in Austria. Here's another look at us grabbing the slipstream, going to the outside of the Spaniard here of Carlos Sainz. Able to find the grip. He gets a little bit better run there, but we're able to put the power down, turn our battery on, and go around the outside of Carlos Sainz into the lead here in the Austrian Grand Prix. Now the question's going to be, are we going to be able to keep it And will we be able to pull away here and create a gap? As we have good pace. We just need to unleash it. Oh, we get a warning there. As that is our first warning of the Grand Prix. And we cannot let a 3-second penalty ruin all the work we have done. No, our second warning. As that is going to be costly. We really need to dial it back now. I was trying to open a gap here, but it just isn't worth it.
Sainz is the fastest man.
A 3-second penalty would be absolutely disastrous, so I'm just going to be extra careful here. Keep our battery deploy in spots where they may be able to pass us, and try to charge it up where they can't. Without the DRS, the AI really isn't able to make any moves on us, as it really is difficult to pass in this weather anyway. And no DRS does not help, obviously, as they don't have the massive advantage on the straights. So we're able to deploy our battery pretty strategically here and cover them off.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
Honestly, I was just thinking that our tire wear isn't that bad. And yeah, we're already almost halfway through this race. I wonder if it's going to stay wet. Maybe we just try to no-stop it here.
The rain's getting lighter now, but it's going to take a while for the track to dry out. Okay, full wet seems to be the fastest tyre for now.
Inters may be in play here soon, though, so we'll have to see how quick everyone wants to peel into pit road, as Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz went side by side into that corner there. Allowed us to pull out a second gap here. Now we just got to stay neat and tidy here, and maybe we can pull out a gap. Hopefully they keep fighting each other.
Yes.
Mark thinks it's almost interweather here, as I wonder if the AI is going to start peeling in soon. Still a long way to go to try to no-stop it here. If the AI starts pulling in, we do just set the fastest lap of the race. The track definitely is drying out here. If they all peel in, we may go in a lap or two later to try to cover them off. Well, strategy calls for us to box this lap, as Mark doesn't know which tire's faster. We kind of fishtailed it through that corner there. Gave up a little bit of our gap, but it's all good. As, yeah, we're definitely going to stay out. Luckily, since we're so far ahead, we can afford to be a little reactive here. As I don't want to pit if the AI is going to try to take these wets the whole way. I feel like they won't, and they're most likely...
Box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
Feel like they'll most likely pit for inners here at some point. As Alexander Albon is out of the session here. Pretty late in the day. That is a mechanical failure down at Williams. I'm sure that is not
okay, so we're leading our teammate by 10.0 seconds.
I think at this point, I don't care what the AI does. I'm going for the no-stop. Even if they pit for inners, I mean, the chances they make up 20 seconds and the amount of laps that are going to be left, because no one's even pitted yet, was very small. And they can't double stack either, so... Well, they could, but that'll cost one driver even more time, so... I think staying out's the right call, as they are pulling into the pits here.
Great stuff, mate. You hit the target well there. Nice one. There's a long way to go in this race, though, so keep your head down.
Sainz and Leclerc stayed out, though. Is the call just to go for the no-stop? As Leclerc is in the pits.
That was the fastest lap of the race so far.
Carlos Sainz may pit next lap, as Verstappen does stay out here, and so does Perez. Like I said, I think I'm just taking it to the end here.
Okay, it's borderline, mate, but if I were you, I'd come in and change tyres. I'm just not sure we're on the right ones for these conditions anymore.
We're coming in. We're boxing. Oh, that was a little safe. I feel like I lost a lot of time there. The question is, do we maintain the lead? Where are we going to come out?
Okay, off we go. Back into the race. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
As we got undercut by Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz here. We do have newer intermediates though. Max Verstappen is pulling away late in the day here. It's really looking like I almost should have risked it on those old wets. I was scared that maybe we'd have a blown tire though late in the day. Max Verstappen's 3/10s quicker than me last lap. It
Gap
looks
to your
like
teammate behind, 10.5 seconds.
Looks like the Dutchman's going to get another victory here with 3 more laps to go. As his championship rival, Carlos Sainz, is doing his best to hold off second position for me. I really need to charge my battery back up, get as close as we can, and make a lunge into turn 2. Yeah. So unfortunate we allowed the undercut to happen. I should have just stuck to my guns and stayed out, most likely.
I'm afraid you've been given a time penalty for that last incident, mate.
Yeah, that was kind of blatant by me. Well, that takes out any chance we have of grabbing second from Carlos here. But, luckily, everyone behind us elected to throw on another set of wets. I'm not too sure about that questionable decision. But it does mean we are way faster than Lando Norris. So the gap is just growing. So as long as we don't make a gigantic mistake, even with the 3-second penalty, it's looking like we may secure our first podium here for Alpine. After the heartbreak in Canada, after getting 4th in Monaco, and then I think 5th in Imola. I mean, we've had so many. We got 5th in Bahrain as well. We've been close to the podium so many times, but just never been able to get there. Can today be the day? Rounding these double left-handers for the final time here in Austria. Not quite able to get Carlos Sainz. A 3-second penalty late in the day would have hindered our chances anyway. But we are able to bring home our first podium here for Alpine as we go around these final fast few corners. Exit the final corner. Here we are for our first podium. Let's go.
Top job, mate. Top job. Yes. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but man, you pulled through. Thank you. Well done.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
Well, another race victory today, and you can clearly see they're starting to believe in themselves more and more. You get to a stage, Crofty, where you become very hard to beat as a driver when you keep putting in performances like this one.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team.
Well, there we are, standing on the podium for the first time in our careers. Yeah, honestly, I'm thrilled. A little bit sad we gave the race away. We did allow the undercut. We led the race for so long. Definitely feel like we could have won it. But, I mean, you just got to be thrilled to get your first podium no matter what, no matter the circumstances. Obviously, we're just lucky to be fighting for wins in the first place.
And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
And Max Verstappen wins here in Red Bull's backyard. We get a podium. I'm absolutely thrilled. In the rain, I always used to struggle with rain driving. Able to get the podium. Fantastic drive by me. I kind of messed up the strategy. Yeah, I messed up the strategy horribly. So I'm not as happy as I would be. I feel like I definitely could have won the race. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet feeling, but still our first podium. So I have to be thrilled. As Max Verstappen does open the gap more in the championship to Carlos Sainz. It's now 48 points. Obviously still very winnable for the Spanish driver, but he's going to have to dig deep. He can't let Max Verstappen win when he's starting on pole. I mean, Max is starting in third, Carlos on pole, and somehow Max is the one who comes out on top. If he wants his first championship, more races like this cannot happen. As we are now just 5 points behind Alonso and Russell. Obviously, George Russell is our championship rival, so that is huge. As, yeah, we grab our first podium in Austria. So, thank you to everyone who watched the video. Please like and subscribe, and you guys have a great day.